Welcome to the League-Kempner House. We're a nonprofit dedicated to restoring and preserving this incredible mansion. Check out our website, leaguekempnerhouse.org, for more information about events and ways to support the restoration efforts. Watching us here on YouTube is just one way you can help. I told you in the servant stair video that there were 4 big structural problems left in this house. I've already covered the front porch, the attic mess, so today I'm going to head to the parlor and talk about the third issue. And it's an issue so big it's probably going to take 3 videos to cover it all. I'm going to start with a word, and that's vexed. It means annoyed, frustrated, or worried. So I think it's a perfect word for the topic today. It sounds like a word they'd use in Victorian times. I'm vexed by this little half-round alcove off of the parlor and here in Daisy's bedroom. First of all, why is it here? A lot of big Victorian homes had garden rooms, like this gorgeous one on the Bishop's Palace. The Victorians were into plants, and specifically ferns. There was even a name for it, periodomania. And if you didn't want something this big on your house, a lot of times these little alcoves were added to have the same feel. The Lasker mansion that used to sit next door also had an alcove in its design. As you can see from this turn-of-the-century postcard, originally this area had an open porch on top, and that porch was sheltered by this sloped roof. Most people wouldn't notice. I do because I've spent so much time studying this area, but it's evident to me on the photo that there was a guttering system around the top of that porch. I'll get back to that in the next video. In the 1920 remodel done by Eliza Kempner, that protective roof was removed and the porch was extended up to create a closed-in space off the big west bedroom. It completely changed the look of the west side of the house, and it feels like an afterthought to me. For one thing, the floor here on the second floor enclosed area was never changed from that sloping exterior floor that was designed to shed water. Here we go. The windows are also not of high quality, and they would have allowed a lot of intrusion of air in the winter. That may be why the interior windows were not removed, so that the resulting room was still more like an open porch than part of the big bedroom. So why all the bother? I think it may have been closed in like this to make a sleeping porch. Sleeping porches were popular as a way to escape the heat that builds up in a house during the day. Fresh air was also believed to fight diseases such as tuberculosis, which was prevalent at the time. The sleeping porch stuck out from the main house so that breezes could blow freely through, and screens kept the bugs out. The sleeping porch needed to be protected from the sudden violent thunderstorms that happen here on the Gulf Coast, so that old design would probably not have provided much protection from blowing rain. All these windows could either be opened or closed to varying degrees to control the airflow, and screens on the top windows protected from the bugs. And that solid lower part on the bottom afforded more privacy. When not in use, these existing windows could be pulled down to close off and seal the room. That's my theory at the moment, unless I uncover new information. If you've been watching the other videos, you've probably heard the story by now that I was initially drawn to this house because of an open window here on this second floor. And here it is, right here. I've blamed a lot of problems on the window being open, but if I'm really being honest and fair, it was only a minor contributor to the mess you see here today. What's evident in hindsight, and with a whole lot of demolition, is that although that window was open and some water did get in, the floor joists directly below that window are still in relatively good condition. Everything below the line of those joists is deteriorated and decayed worse than anything I've seen in the house so far. So what happened, and why was so much demolition done? Why was there so much damage that had to be demolished? Maybe it's a better question. Let's start at the beginning and take a look at the condition this area was in when I purchased the house. Despite the damage, you could see that this alcove had a whole lot going on. It was very ornate, flanked by these columns, and the millwork was amazing, what was left of it. Everything in this area was built to follow the curve. That meant all this trim had to be steamed and bent into shape. The glass in the windows is curved. The shutters were curved. Even the cornices were custom made to follow the curve of the room, as were the curtain rods in there. I'm guessing these cornices were original to the build of the house in 1893. I was so fortunate that all of the glass was intact. The sashes even looked to be in good shape, with the exception of this one where you can see in the bottom left-hand corner where the sash is coming apart. Looking up under the cornice, though, it was horrifying. I could see the bricks were about to fall out, just like they did in that second video I made when I first started this channel. Let's take another look at that here. I'm going to slow the video down a little bit. The extent of the rot was apparent. There was only one section that seemed to be intact, and seemed being the operative word here. I had very little hopes of saving anything in this space. If you remember from the basement video, the area directly under this alcove was in equally bad shape. I need a film crew. I miss all the good stuff. See all this? That's termite poop, termite dirt. When I hit the ceiling, it just all fell out. Let's see if there's any more. Oh, yeah. Not good, not good. That used to be wood. Demolishing this area was not quite as nerve-wracking as removing the stained glass windows, but it was right up there close. The primary reason being these incredible curved glass windows. This curved glass was another one of those obvious shows of wealth, and it's seen in several of the big houses here in Galveston. You can see an example of it at the Moody Mansion that's also on Broadway. If you ever come to Galveston, be sure and tour this amazing house. To replace this glass today would probably cost in excess of $1,500 to $2,000 per window sash. So these 6 sashes represent somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000. That's why some of the old houses with these windows have them boarded up today. This is the house almost directly behind the League House. Built in 1895, it was a bit of a copycat of the League House style. It has several boarded up windows where curved glass used to be. The cost to replace them is just too prohibitive for a lot of people. I had some 1/4-inch plywood left over from the demolition of that enclosed front porch on the second floor, and the sheets were long enough to cover the windows, so I took some measurements and went up and cut a piece that we could use to protect the glass. My goal was to slide it up and screw it in and protect that glass so we could reach up and get all those loose bricks out in a controlled environment so they wouldn't fall and break the window during demolition. There were a lot of staples and nails in the wood, so I had to be careful where I cut. I didn't want to run over any of them, but I didn't want to take the time to pull them out either. Okay, this is pretty cool. I was cleaning up the trash to try to make room for the ladder so we could work on this window covering. And I found this part of the window trim, and it's actually stamped on the back, something League something. So it was actually marked and labeled to come to this property. So I think it's going to take one on either side. Didn't take down the curtains. If you notice, we worked with them there. It was a little annoying, but the deterioration was so bad at the top that I was afraid that even trying to get up and get the curtain rods down or the cornices off would cause enough vibration to make those bricks fall. So number one priority was cover the windows and get those loose bricks out. As simple as it sounds, we struggled a great deal because the wood was so rotted, there was very little to screw into. And I was trying to avoid screwing into the sash itself because the sashes could be saved and I just didn't want to put unnecessary holes in it. But once it was up, it was too high and there wasn't room to remove the bricks. So we had to take it down and scooch it lower. The first window took quite a bit of trial and error, but eventually we were able to reach up and get the bricks down and clear out the debris. When I was confident that nothing else would fall out, we took down that piece of plywood and put up a smaller piece screwed in to cover the sash so that when we took the sash out, it would be protected. And then we moved over to the next window and started the process over. Now that we kind of had a method and knew how things would work, things moved faster. I had Ricardo do the honor so I could try to get the camera and film some closer up shots so you could see what's going on. That should hold it if you want to pull those bricks out. Just look at how rotted that wood is. I swear, the thick layer of paint on the wood trim around this window was the only thing holding it together. No tools were necessary in the demolition of this area. Those are bricks that Ricardo is pulling out as he's reaching up in there. Yeah, that's nasty. Pull it down. Oh. How is that that cornice that your hand is on, how is that attached? Can you see? Is it just on a hook? Does it just lift up? Will it lift straight up, or is it screwed in? No, the thing on top. No, that. Yeah, yeah. Is it just sitting there, or is it screwed in?
Always screws.
Screws. Okay, never mind. I'll get that later. What is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's part of the beam from the porch above. So that's the support beam for the porch is coming down. Okay, well, that's gonna, okay, well, that's not very good. Well, that actually went better than I expected. We didn't break anything. We didn't bleed. Nobody got hit with a brick. We're all kind of gross and dirty, but that happens every day. What Ricardo was saying is that this that he was pulling out is actually the floor joist or beams that support the floor above. So that's not surprising. My thought already was that we were going to have to take this whole porch down, basically to the brick shell, and rebuild everything. So that just more or less confirms it. Everything from this wall over will have to come out and start fresh. Next, it was on to the removal of the window sashes themselves. I had the guys remove everything on them that could possibly bump into the windows and break. And we had a long discussion about the best way to approach it. And despite what I said earlier, I think I was more nervous about this than removing the stained glass windows, because that work was done by professionals who had insurance. If these broke, it was going to be on me to replace them. It was hard to believe that everything was that rotted and these window sashes were still difficult to remove. There was quite a bit of trial and error as they worked to free the sash from the frame. Okay. Oh, I don't want to flex the glass. It'll snap the glass. Okay, whoa, no. Wait, no, stop. A lot of the demolition we'd been doing up to this point was just brute force, but this required quite a bit of finesse. They finally got the first sash out and moved it to safety. And then things got even scarier because the upper sash had to be removed, and these windows are extremely heavy, and that scaffolding is a bit wobbly. So you have to worry about your balance. That's why they chose to sit down. The hammering was freaking me out. Like everything else, once we've done it and learned some things about how to do it, the rest of them went easier, and within a couple of hours, all 6 were out and moved safely into the corner of the parlor. Then it was on to demolition as usual, just ripping things out and getting rid of it. Just throw it out the window. Throw it out the window. And that's plaster, that's not wood, right? Yeah, save a piece of that because I need to be able to take a mold of it.
Take a mold?
Yeah, I have to take a mold of it. Yeah, so let's save that because I have to mold it. Yeah, I have to mold it to replicate that. I knew before the demolition even started that there wouldn't be much to save in this area, but it was really sad to see just how deteriorated it was, because this woodwork would have just been astonishingly beautiful when it was new, and it's going to be very complicated to recreate in this area. But it was what it was, and most of it went right out the window into the trash. When we finished, we cleaned up a little bit and then secured the windows as best we could with plywood. This side was clean. Now it's a mess again. There you have it. We've created a big mess that we now have to put back together. So that's where I'll pick up next time. Thanks for watching, and a big thank you again to Caleb and the Second Empire Strikes Back. Our subscriber count has jumped from 800 to over 4,000 and counting as I speak. It's so nice to have all you new subscribers here. Thank you for your comments and your support. I'm trying desperately to answer all of them. I don't know how much longer I can keep it up. But do know that I read everything, and if you have a question or a concern, please leave it in the comment. I'll either answer you directly or I'll incorporate it into a future video. We are paying attention. Doing these videos is about giving you something you want to see, so let me know if there's anything. Until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here at the JC League House.